political controversy is brewing in Kuje Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory after the council chairman, Samuel Danjuma Shekwolu, reportedly told residents who do not support the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) to leave the area. The statement has triggered anger among residents and opposition politicians, with critics accusing the chairman of threatening their democratic rights and attempting to use his office to influence political choices ahead of the 2027 general elections. But what exactly did the chairman say? And can an elected council chairman really tell Nigerians to leave their community simply because they support a different political party? That is at the heart of the controversy now unfolding in Kuje. According to Daily Sun, the controversy began after a video circulating on social media showed Shekwolu speaking about political support in the area council. In the video, the chairman argued that residents should support the APC because of development projects carried out in Kuje under the administration of President Bola Tinubu and FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. But the chairman went further. He reportedly declared that residents had to choose between supporting the APC and leaving the area council.
I have said in my area council, it's either you're doing APC or leave the area council. I'm not arguing with you. With confidence I'm saying it. You know why? I cannot have minister and president doing for us what they are doing. Then on the day of election, you now come and say you want to match me. I will not. I will not. It's either you are with us or you are.
That statement immediately raised questions. Is political loyalty now a condition for living in Kuje? Can residents be expected to prove their support for a political party simply because development projects have been carried out in their community? And perhaps most importantly, where does the authority of an elected council chairman end? These are the questions residents are now asking. When journalists visited Kuje, the chairman's comment had reportedly become a major topic of discussion in markets, shops, and along the streets. Many residents rejected the threat outright. Some argue that political affiliation is a personal choice and that no elected official has the authority to determine where Nigerians should live based on how they intend to vote.
We know who we vote for. Nobody will dictate us for who we go there. It's our civic rights.
Others warn that such language could actually hurt the political party the chairman is trying to promote. Why? Because telling people to leave their homes because they support another political party could create resentment rather than loyalty. And Kuje has its own political history. One resident pointed to the area's traditional support for the People's Democratic Party, PDP, arguing that Kuje has not historically been an APC stronghold. The resident said he would not leave Kuje or change his political preference because of the chairman's statement. The controversy has also drawn reactions from opposition figures. Philip Wasiri, chairman of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, in Kuje Area Council, said his party was studying the video before issuing a formal response. But even without an official party statement, Wasiri described the comment as inappropriate for an elected leader. He emphasized that Nigeria is a democracy and that citizens have the right to associate with political parties of their choice. That argument goes beyond the heart of the issue. Democracy is not simply about voting every 4 years. It also involves political participation, freedom of association, and the ability of citizens to support candidates and parties without intimidation. If a voter supports APC, that is their choice. If another voter supports PDP, ADC, Labour Party, or another political platform, that is also their choice. And if someone decides not to support any political party at all, that too is part of political freedom. The chairman's critics therefore argue that an elected official should be protecting those freedoms rather than appearing to threaten residents because of their political preference. Another Kuje resident, who is a member of the Nigerian Democratic Congress and asked not to be identified, questioned whether the chairman could actually enforce such a threat. The resident asked a simple question: how would the chairman even know who voted for whom? Nigeria's elections are conducted through secret ballots. That means political leaders cannot simply walk into a polling booth and determine how each individual voted. The resident therefore dismissed the threat as unenforceable and said he would neither leave Kuje nor change his political preference. He also questioned whether the area council belongs to the chairman personally. That is an important point. An elected office does not turn public territory into private property. The chairman occupies public office on behalf of the people. Residents of Kuje do not become political subjects simply because their local government leadership supports a particular party. Another resident, identified as Yakubu, went even further. He described the statement as an affront to fundamental rights and one that any attempt to enforce the threat would face resistance. He argued that democracy should be based on the people rather than the authority of an individual leader. And this is where the controversy becomes bigger than one statement. Nigeria is heading towards another politically important election cycle. The 2027 general elections are already shaping political calculations across the country. Political parties are positioning themselves. Politicians are building alliances, and voters are beginning to consider their choices. In that environment, statements from elected officials can have consequences. A comment that might be dismissed as political rhetoric can become even more serious if residents believe it is a warning backed by government authority. That is why political leaders are expected to choose their words carefully. They can campaign. They can defend their party's record. They can point to projects delivered by their government. They can ask voters for support. But opponents argue that the line should be drawn when political persuasion turns into intimidation. The chairman's supporters could argue that he was expressing strong political support for the APC and highlighting development projects in Kuje. They could say his remarks were political rhetoric rather than a literal order to remove residents. But his critics see something different. They see a public official appearing to make residency conditional on political loyalty. And that is why the statement has generated such strong reactions. The bigger political lesson may be this: development projects can win votes, but threats may not. If residents believe roads, infrastructure, healthcare, education, or other projects have improved their lives, they can reward the government at the ballot box. But voters ultimately decide. That is the fundamental principle of an election. The government can present its achievements. Opposition parties can present their alternatives. But the final decision belongs to the electorate. No politician can guarantee electoral support simply by demanding it. And no resident should have to surrender political beliefs simply to remain in their community. The controversy in Kuje therefore raises an important question ahead of 2027. Will Nigerian politicians compete for voters through persuasion and performance, or will political intimidation become part of the campaign? For now, residents who spoke out have made their position clear. They say they will remain in Kuje. They say they will exercise their voting rights. And they insist that political differences should not determine where a Nigerian is allowed to live. The chairman's statement may eventually be clarified or explained as political rhetoric, but the reaction it has generated shows just how sensitive Nigeria's political environment has become. Because when an elected official says, "Support our party or leave," the issue is no longer simply about party politics. it becomes a question about power, democracy, and the rights of the people. And as Nigeria moves closer to 2027, that debate is likely to become even louder. What do you think? Was the Kuje chairman simply making a political statement, or did his remarks cross the line into intimidation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. I am Cassie Tony.